Just released figures from the Office of National Statistics show Hartlepool has one of the highest rates of burglary in England and Wales. Could it possibly be because the BBC announced to all crimedom that Hartlepool has no policing on a night? But I digress. But trying to bring all these parties together on Wednesday the 23rd of January in Foggy Firs, a public meeting took place in the early evening at the Bellevue Social Club. The meeting was organised by local residents Steve Picton and Darren Price, as clearly people in Hartlepool are at their wits' end, having to endure constant crime and petty vandalism. In attendance were numerous high-ranking members of the police, including both Crime Commissioner Mr. Barry Coppinger and Chief Inspector Nigel Burnell, and also several councillors, including leader of the Borough Council, Councillor Christopher Akers-Belcher. We went as Hartlepool TV simply with the idea, since it was a topic that affects all of us, to record the event for people that wouldn't be able to attend. However, we were unable to do that for a number of reasons, namely the format of the event, plus neither the police or Councillor Akers-Belcher would go on camera to answer our questions. But there are several interesting things to report. Here's what organiser Steve Picton had to say.
Well, this is just a second meeting that they promised us, which is a bit more low-key than what the first one was, because we're a lot of shouty people, which you're going to get if there's a lot of crime. But yeah, it wasn't organised. It was just a follow-on. So
right.
Yeah.
Are you expecting numbers?
Yeah, there's a few people going to be coming down around about 6 o'clock.
Right.
But everyone that promised that we're going to turn up, from the ward councillors to the police commissioner, are all here. We've got PCO coming down shortly. So yeah, we're just hoping for the people.
Do you think it's a positive thing that all these guys have turned up for
100%? Yeah, 100%. They said they were going to turn out, and they have.
Now, there were mixed opinions about the format of the evening. Instead of a regular town hall type meeting, the police had one table and the council leader sat at another table in a one-on-one type setting, and you move from one table to another. One member of the public stated she knew many people wouldn't attend because they found this format too intimidating. Another member of the public said that others wouldn't attend as they were uncomfortable going out at night, especially if they had to rely on public transport. Co-organiser Darren Price also had some doubts.
Are you going to be speaking to Barry and them?
No, it's not the kind of meeting I wanted. The residents wanted a proper meeting where we could...
Public forum?
Yeah, public forum, where you could put the hands up, because sometimes questions breed more questions.
Of course they do.
And this format, all they're doing is dividing and what I call divide and conquer.
Yeah, very good.
So you're on your own, you ask your question, you don't get a chance to think of another question,
yeah,
and then you're out.
Now, when we asked Council Leader Christopher Akers-Belcher if, as Hartlepool TV, we could record his answers to our questions, it was a flat no. But when I suggested that in my capacity as a member of the public that I was entitled to ask him some questions, he agreed, and he did answer my questions nicely and comprehensively. My first question was to do with CCTV. Were CCTV cameras in Hartlepool that are soon to extend to our parks manned 24/7? Yes, apparently they are. How good was the interaction between the council-run CCTV operation and the police? Councillor Akers-Belcher said there was a very good and direct liaison with the police and other agencies. There are daily briefings to review crime events and antisocial behaviour, and when intelligence was pooled with other agencies such as the fire service, etc., there were a lot better outcomes. Also, there would be periodic performance reviews to ascertain what countermeasures worked better so crime could be further reduced. The other interesting thing, statistics showed that the majority of crime was being perpetrated by adults, not, as I'm sure many people think, including myself, by kids. When I sat down with Commissioner Coppinger and Chief Inspector Burnell, I asked, were they in fact working closely with Hartlepool Borough Council's CCTV operation? Yes, and they reiterated much of the council leader's answer. What would they say to members of the public that felt let down both by the police and the council. They obviously cited budget cuts, and no one can argue the police are way overstretched, and this also impacts response times. Why are there such long response times? Much response time problems, they explain, comes down to risk assessments. A crime is reported, but in this day and age, now they have to assess whether the suspect or suspects are known, what area it's in, how likely to be, is there a weapon on the scene, is it terrorist related, as this affects which units will respond. One thing we can all agree on, every officer should be able to go home to their family at the end of the shift, so I can now better appreciate this aspect. But in order to reduce the response times, they've introduced a lifetime information system called eSINs. eSINs is software that allows multi-agency partnerships by providing a secure, encrypted, cloud-based central hub where information can be accessed and shared in real time. It really helps to eliminate lengthy investigation time. A further response time drawback is lack of staff, leaving them with no choice but to have to prioritize. Yes, if somebody is keying your car and the little snots are still there outside your house, it would be so satisfying if the police could be dispatched straight away. Harsh reality is, they said, is that the police have to prioritize. If they have acts of violence, armed robbery, car crash, missing persons, etc., the antisocial stuff will have to take a back burner. However, both the Commissioner and Chief Inspector were hopeful to add another 200 PCSOs into Hartlepool. It's their hope that the PCSOs would go some way to bridge the gap, getting to know communities, getting to know the neighbourhood watch groups, problem areas, and in time have their ear to the ground to gather local information and consequently help combat this niggling and frustrating petty crime and antisocial behaviour. But going back to the attendees at this meeting, a big issue voiced to me by many is that it would be disastrous for the town if the main police station in Avenue Road were to be run down and closed, that the custody suite is closed, which clearly wastes so much police time having to go to Middlesbrough. Again, it was put down to lack of staff. But with no hospital and A&E, the custody suite closed, there are hardly any babies born in Hartlepool these days. You're less likely to die in Hartlepool as well. Not even a full Marks and Spencer's, as one person voiced, with the last person to leave Hartlepool, please turn out the light. To finish, I'm sorry this has been wordy. We'll let you know when we hear about future such meetings with the police and the council. But going back to the format of the evening, it did seem that the police got quite a bit out of it. Mr. Coppinger did give us a quick interview about that particularly, and here's what he said.
Meetings, I quite like the kind of drop-in type approach where people can speak directly one-to-one to either police officers or myself about the concerns that they've got, because sometimes in a wider community meeting residents won't talk about specific details, and I think to get the best responses we probably need more specific details, and the police will respond to that. But happy to work with you, and happy to work with residents where that's possible.
Thank you very much, and I know it's getting late, but thank you for your time.
No problem, thank you.
Please like and follow Hartlepool TV on Facebook and YouTube.